Hey, good morning. My name is Jason Ishii, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd like to now call to order the June 5th, 2024 Kakaako Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. And the time is now 12:33.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's Kakaako board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communication staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clear audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you're attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you're attending in person, you'll be called up to the front of the room in the order you signed up. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. When 1 minute is remaining, 1 minute remains will be called out. When 30 seconds is remaining, 30 seconds remain will be called out. When time has elapsed, time will be called out, after which you will have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you are attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will recess until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you, Chair.
ACDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you're present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are present. Vice Chair Higo.
Present.
Member Apo.
Present.
Member Miranda Johnson.
Present.
Member Strites.
Present.
Member Evans. Member Sakura.
Present.
Yeah.
Yes. For today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Item number 1, regular meeting minutes of May 1st, 2024. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? If there's no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Item number 2, decision making. Consider authorizing the executive director to enter into and effectuate of a letter of intent with Victoria Ward Limited regarding 1, an amended and restated master plan development agreement to document implementation matters, rights, entitlements, and completion of public benefits beyond the January 14, 2024 expiration of the Ward Village Neighborhood Master Plan permit, and 2, a proposed purchase and sale transaction of Block P-3 property located at 610 Ward Avenue, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813, and 873 Kapiolani Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813, TMK numbers 21049-063 and 21049-080 respectively. Block P-3 property. And authorizing the executive director to execute the final amended and restated master plan development agreement and the Block P-3 property purchase and sale agreement. Mr. Ryan Tam, Director of Planning and Development, will now present the staff report, right?
Good afternoon, Chair Shi and board members, and long morning and now into the afternoon. you do have a copy of the staff report, which was posted. Before I summarize the staff report, I did want to acknowledge the hard work of Ms. Janet Lau, planner on our staff. Our attorney generals, Ms. Kelly Suzuka and Kevin Tong, as well as the rest of the planning team, and also the Howard Hughes team for working with us over the last year, right, on this. So again, throughout 2023 and early 2024, Howard Hughes, Victoria Ward Limited, and authority staff discussed the terms for an amended and restated development agreement to govern the aspects of future development of Ward Village after expiration of the Ward master plan permit. Given the progress of these discussions, we did agree, effective January 12th, 2024, to extend the original development agreement until amended or terminated. We also discussed, as you mentioned, we did discuss the potential purchase and sale agreement for the Block P3 property. Just a summary of the some of the provisions in the potential amended and restated master plan development agreement. First of all, again, master plan commitments, they would all be completed, including reserve housing, public facilities, open spaces, etc. There are a number of improvements not related to specific development permits that we discussed. Completion of the Po-Kine extension, Oahe Street Promenade. So again, that's realigning, extending Po-Kine Street so it connects with Oahe. District gateway signage, Holly Kavila Street, mid-block connections. Commitment to reconnecting Oahe Street. So again, working with the adjacent landowners at the Eva end of the property. Maintenance of the community parks as well. We also talked about industrial floor area, again, maintaining a minimum of 100,000 square feet of industrial. And that any reduction below that would require executive director consideration and repayment to HCDA of the value of the floor area bonus that was received as part of the original master plan. In terms of reserve housing, the agreement would allow Victoria Ward Limited to use or transfer excess reserve housing credits pending the Block P3 sale. With regards to Block P3, again, the value of the transaction is estimated about $8.5 million. The authority would use about 113,000 square feet of supplemental floor area at a value of $75 per square foot. And the thought is that it would be used to amend the Mahana Ward Village project. Other topics include project tracking submittals and requiring a planned development permit for the 250 Ward Avenue site, among other things. Again, subject to your questions, I know we do have representatives from Howard Hughes here. Again, Doug Johnson, Helen Stero, and their counsel, Brian Kang.
Thank you. I had a question. So what exactly is the amendment to the Mahana Ward Village Plan Development? How are you looking at?
Yeah, I think they're looking, and I mean, for the Howard Hughes, but generally, yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure, Chair. Thank you very much, Brian Kang for Howard Hughes. At this time, Chair Shi, there are, a number of studies that Howard Hughes is still going through with respect to Mahana Ward Village, and taking a look at that. So, although the intent is to use the floor area for that development, those studies need to be completed, and the designs need to be, more fully developed. The intent is to, add additional residential units in that building, but exactly the configuration will need to be studied further on that.
Okay, so this hasn't been determined.
It hasn't been determined yet, and pursuant to the terms of the proposed amended development agreement, Victoria Board would need to come and submit another amended plan development permit application, which would provide all those details.
Okay.
For review.
I was just curious to see if you guys came up with any ideas or concepts.
Yeah, not at this time.
Yeah, thank you. Other comments or questions in regards? I had another one. So when you talk about the industrial flow area, it looks like we're reducing the industrial floor area minimums. Is that correct? That is required?
So what, I think and this industrial floor area and the minimums was something that was discussed a lot, Chair. On the one side of the equation is the recognition that the Kakaako neighborhood is still evolving. That and while industrial will always, hopefully be a part of the neighborhood, that development is evolving such that residential, retail, commercial also happening. So the minimum that we set was something that we agreed on as the minimum that should remain in the master plan area. Now, that minimum could further be reduced by Howard Hughes. As Ryan said, if they come back to us, the executive director for approval, and a payment is made for that reduction amount. And so from 279, I believe, or for industrial floor area that's currently there, if they can reduce it without executive director approval and payment of that payment, floor area reduction payment of 75 plus any escalation.
Right.
And up to a minimum of 100,000. If they're gonna go below 100,000, has to come back to the executive director for approval.
And what was the original agreement? Industrial.
There was no minimum of industrial. I believe it was a maximum. Right?
I see.
Correct, right? Yeah, it was stated as more of a maximum.
Yeah.
Correct.
But it is evolving, that's why I'm asking,
Yeah, and
especially that area.
yeah, and I think that's why in the letter of intent, there was some discussion about this, Chair, that if it comes back to the executive director, the executive director would look at considerations like growth in the area, the demand for other kind of uses. Those are some considerations that the executive director could look to. They're not hard and fast, but they're considerations.
We looked at this a lot, especially given, the original kind of intent of the master plan and kind of the vision of Kakaako as just kind of balanced, residential, commercial and industrial districts. I think there are challenges in terms of, not knowing kind of how the market's going to evolve over time. Howard Hughes is putting industrial in some of their new buildings, Lana, and trying to see how that works.
Thank you. Board members, any other questions or comments?
Sure, just a follow-up on
Member
that.
Strikes?
So if, my understanding, so they got the bonus for providing a certain amount of industrial floor area. If they're not gonna meet that amount, then they could pay the equivalent fee. Could they also have an option of getting a bonus? Some other bonus in lieu of the fee?
No, I think they would repay it.
But there's other bonuses allowed in the rules, right?
I think, let me try to summarize this. So the idea behind this whole repayment of industrial floor area reduction, I think is premised on the notion that Victoria Ward got an industrial bonus from us. So there was feeling that, correct me if I'm wrong, and then, so if they reduced it, then they should sort of pay us back, as it were, for this industrial bonus that was given. So that's the reason for, if the industrial bonus, if the industrial space was reduced from 279 to 100,000, they're gonna pay us sort of that per square footage value of the industrial floor area, which is gonna be based on a base of $75 a square foot now escalated, right? Right, you look at me like.
Yeah.
And then if it goes, if they wanna reduce it further below 100,000, that's where they have to come back to us. When they reduce it from 279 to 100, it's gonna be reflected in their annual report as a reduction. Kailani, Doug, did I state that accurately?
Just to clarify one thing on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, when you're describing the 279.
Yeah.
Just to note that that is inclusive of the P1
Yeah.
industrial credit that
Right.
was received. And when we're describing the 100 minimum, that's actually exclusive of the P1 credit that was received. So if we're saying apples to apples, it would be like 279
Minus 7.
down to 170, but if we're saying exclusive of the P1 credit that was realized in our accounting during the master plan, it would be more similar to 209,000 currently, with the ability to go down to the 100,000 minimum. So I just want to make that point of clarification.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah.
The P1 credit was when we purchased the block P from
I see.
we gave them a 70,000 industrial.
Industrial
Credit.
credit already, okay. So it was reduced from 279. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? During the staff report? No. Is there any public testimony? No public testimony? If not, is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to enter into effectuate a letter of intent with Victoria Ward Limited regarding one, an amended and restated master plan development agreement to document implementation matters, rights, entitlements, and completion of public benefits beyond the January 14, 2024 expiration of the Ward Village Neighborhood Master Plan permit. And two, a proposed purchase and sale transaction of the Block P-3 property located at 610 Ward Avenue, Honolulu, 96813, and 873 Kapiolani Boulevard, Honolulu, 96813. TMK numbers 21-049-063 and 21-049-080 respectively. Block P3 property, and authorizing the executive director to execute the final amended and restated master plan development agreement and the Block P3 property purchase and sale agreement. Do I have a motion?
So
Member Higa, so moved.
member Strict.
Second.
Second. Oh,
Member Higa. Motion was approved by member Higa, seconded by member Strikes. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Not, Brian, can you please take the roll call?
oh, so you're gonna take it. You go.
Chair Shi,
Yes.
Vice Chair Higa,
Yes.
Secretary Poe.
Aye.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Aye.
Member Nessier left, excuse. Member Strites.
Aye.
Member Evans, excused. Member Sakota.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed with 6 ayes, no nos, and 2 excused.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Next item of the agenda, considering authorizing the executive director to amend the existing right of entry agreement ROE 1-19 dated August 9, 2019 with Tupu, a Hawaii nonprofit organization for the use of a portion of the NOAA Lot at Kewalo Basin Harbor located at 1125 Ala Moana Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii. Tax map key number 12-1-058 035 for the purpose of parking and utility storage to extend the term for 2 additional years until September 30, 2026, and increase the rent. Ms. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, will now present the staff report. Lindsay?
Thank you, Chair. Members, this report is located in tab 3 of your packet, and it relates to an existing right of entry agreement with Kupu for a portion of our NOAA lot property over at Kewalo Basin Harbor. Right now, they use that parcel for parking some staff vehicles and storing a container full of their equipment that they use as part of their operations, and also to house utilities necessary for their property, which is actually now on city property, the net shed, that's the Ho'okupu Center, which is directly adjacent to our NOAA lot parcel. This right of entry that they currently have was given to them back in August of 2019. We've amended it several times since then. This time they are requesting a 2-year extension with a slight increase in rent, as is typical of our right of entries. It's a 3% increase in the rent. And the reason being that they're coming back again this time is right now, there's kind of been a shift in the development of that parcel, the NOAA lot. Previously, we were in a development agreement with Howard Hughes for the development of that parcel, as well as another parcel, the Charter Boat Building, which is the next action item. But that development, those plans kind of were put on hold, and actually eventually, Howard Hughes decided to go a different way. So that development agreement did expire at the end of December last year, and that kind of clears the way for new development of NOAA lot. Kupu does have interest in developing that parcel, but of course they do need some time to put together a proposal for the board to deliberate on. So in the interim, until they're ready, they are requesting this 2-year extension of the right of entry. But again, that 2-year agreement, if approved, it does include a 30-day mutual termination clause. So we could opt to terminate it at any time for any reason with proper notice and pursue, a different agreement. It's really up to the board at that point. So I'm available for any questions. If you have any questions about the agreement or about the parcel.
Yeah, so I had a question. So I read here that the propane gas tank was proposed originally to be put under city jurisdiction. But there were some issues, so was wondering what was those several issues that were involved? And why did it be installed on city property?
So back then, when the Ho'okupu Center was being developed, it was actually HCDA property. So we owned all of Kewalo Basin, the parking lot, the site of where Kupu's Ho'okupu Center is now. We called it the net shed. So we actually leased them that property. And when we turned over the park and the park parcels to the city in 2019, that property, was turned over to them as well. So that lease is now the city's. But back when we owned it and we were leasing that property to Kupu, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there was some issue with the development of the building, of their renovation for the Ho'okupu Center, and something about the truck to fuel that tank could not go through the building, or it didn't have enough clearance to go around. So there was a challenge in siting the propane tank in the back of their building, which is, I think, where they originally, intended to put it, was in the back against the channel side of the building. But, for various reasons, I guess the safety or the piping to fuel that tank wasn't available to kind of reach it back there. So they opted to instead place it on the NOAA lot parcel, which is separate from their leased premises. And that's where it currently is located. It's very close in proximity to their Ho'okupu Center, because it has to be. It provides the fuel for their commercial kitchen, but it's not technically on the same leased premises. And now that is, you're correct, the city property.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Or any discussion? No? No public testimony? Okay, with that, is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend the existing right of entry ROE 1-19 dated August 9th, 2019 with Kupu, a Hawaii nonprofit organization, for the use of a portion of the NOAA lot at Koala Basin Harbor located at 1125 Ala Moana Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii, tax map key number 2-1-058-035, for the purposes of parking and utility storage to extend the term for 2 additional years until September 30, 2026, and increase the rent. Do I have a motion?
Member Higa so moves.
Do I have a second? So it's been moved by member Higa and seconded by member Alpol. Is there any further discussion on this motion? If not, Lindsay, can you take the roll call?
Members, that motion has been made and seconded. On the motion, member Higa,
Aye.
member Apo,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson. Oh, member Miranda Johnson,
You're on mute. She's there.
Sorry, my computer was not working with me, but yes, I.
thank you. Member Streets.
Aye.
Member Sakota.
Yes.
Okay, and Chair Ishii.
Yes,
The motion passes with 6 in favor, 2 excused.
thank you. Next agenda item, consider authorizing the executive director to amend the non-exclusive temporary revocable license number 21-01 dated June 22nd, 2021 with Kewalo Makai LLC, a Hawaii Limited Liability Company, for the use of Kewalo Charter Building and portion of the NOAA lot at Kewalo Basin Harbor, located at 1125 Ala Moana Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii. Tax map key numbers 2-1-058-11133 and 2-1-058-135 respectively, for the commercial, retail, and office purposes to extend the term for 1 additional year until June 30th, 2025, and increase the rent. Ms. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, now present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Members, this request is very similar to the last request relating to a portion of the NOAA lot and also for the charter boat building, which is located along Ala Moana Boulevard. Howard Hughes has had a revocable license for both of those parcels since June 2021. We've extended it 1 time, and they're coming to you today to extend it for 1 additional year. They are proposing to increase the rent by 15%. That's due to them using the charter boat building as a commercial space for some of their some of their boater tenants who operate commercial offices or sell some of the items related to their operations over there in the harbor. So they do lease out that charter boat building to those tenants. And then for the NOAA lot, they just utilize the warehouse building that's on the property for harbor master operations. So those 2 properties are part of this revocable license, which again, they're requesting a 1-year extension. Similar to the Kupu item, this would be an interim measure. That's why it's a short-term agreement, just the 1 year. Howard Hughes is looking at potential plans to possibly redevelop the charter boat building. But again, any type of that action would come back before you, the board, to determine how you'd like to proceed on that. So this is just a short-term use, but it would be the same use as it's currently being used for.
Members, are there any questions or comments on this report? If not, is there any public testimony? No? Since there's no public testimony, can I get a motion here? Is there a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to amend the non-exclusive temporary revocable license number 21-01 dated June 22nd, 2021 with Kiwala Makai LLC, a Hawaii Limited Liability Company for the use of the Kiwala Charter Building and a portion of the NOAA lot at Kiwala Basin Harbor located at 1125 Alamoana Boulevard, Honolulu, Hawaii, tax map key numbers 1-2-1-058-133 and 1-2-1-058-135 respectively for commercial, retail, and office purposes to extend the term for 1 year, additional year until June 30, 2025 and increase the rent. Do I have a motion?
Member Hughes.
Do I have a second? Have a second. The motion has been made by member Higa, seconded by member Apol. Is there any further discussions on this motion? If not, Lindsay, can you please take the roll call?
Members on that motion, member Higa,
Aye.
member Apo,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson,
Aye.
member Streets,
Aye.
member Sakota,
Yes.
and Chair Ishii.
Yes.
Motion passes with 6 in favor, 2 excused.
Thank you. Next agenda item, report of the executive director, monthly report and other status reports. Executive Director Nakamoto.
Thanks, Chair. In the interest of time, I'll keep this really brief and just kind of hit some of the highlights. The Queen Street crosswalk improvements and the Kolowalo Park improvements are proceeding. They're at close to the end of its and close to being completed. I know it's been a long time, but it's close to being completed. The Kolowalo Park improvements, dog park, we kind of expect construction to be completed in July. There's gonna be a time when the grass sodding needs to take, so it'll be maybe a month or so before people and dogs can use the park, but it's getting done. The pictures, the photos that you see are additions to the Makai side of the park. The picnic benches, there was adult fitness equipment and benches around the existing playground equipment. To be installed in October, maybe mid-October. Lindsay's team has ordered new playground equipment to replace the current playground equipment, also ordered new playground equipment for younger children. So that's been ordered and it looks like it's gonna be installed in October. All told, you know, these improvements, thanks to the appropriation by Speaker Psyche and Senator Moriwaki, have really, I think, helped to improve Kolowalo Park and make it a better experience for the users. The crosswalk improvements, where the pedestrian island was completed. We're still waiting for the flashing beacons. Those are on order. And it's expected that those are gonna be installed sometime in September or October. It's a kind of a long lead item. And then, of course, the beacons have to be energized. But it was a lot of good work by the CIP team, asset management, Garrett's team, Wendy Reyes for the procurement that we had to go through for some of this. But I think at the end of the day, Kolowalo Park is gonna be even better than what it is today. So that's my report, Chair, just the highlights of what we're able to do at the park.
Members, are there any questions or comments on our staff report? If not, is there any public question? No public testimony. Thank you for those who joined on Zoom or in person. This concludes our business for today. Thank you very much sorry for the delay, but the meeting is now adjourned. And the time is 1:05. Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank
Everybody.
you.